NIT Silchar. In last we have
Sir, Kulkarni sir, there is some network issue. Please turn off your video.
Now, I request our director to. Okay. So I request now director sir to address the gathering.
Okay, request accepted. And I think Naresh, so before you start, take a peek of the all the videos on. So you advise the students to do that.
Yes, sir. So
all the
students,
participants,
please turn
on your video
for 1 minute.
Okay. Excellent.
Yes, sir. Kulkarni
Okay.
sir.
Okay. So the students, you will have to turn off your video. Now, that's good.
So all the students are requested to turn off your video. Murtunjaya, please turn off your video.
Okay, Mrityunjay, we are working for your video to be turned off. Okay, fine. I think that gives us a nice setting for today's talk. And this talk as part of the induction program. I think last year also, Roshan came to meet the students, but that was basically a physical mode. And after that, we also met, and there were discussions like how this idea of developing startups can be flowed into the new batch of students, so that right from the beginning, their mind is set up. It is not necessary that everyone will be developing a startup. They might join some company, do hard studies, some may do, say, the startups, but it requires a different mindset to go for one's own company. So that gives a lot of confidence. So hearing from Roshan will be a good experience for all my BTech first year students. And I was seeing the participation number, so that number is increasing, and that is quite impressive. So the startings, and I think in future also, say if Roshan can build up a network of the other startups who originated from NIT Silchar, so that a nice network of the startups, and they can really interact with the current batch of students, and they can build them up, because it is not only the dream, but it requires managerial skills, financial skills, technological market study, that is in which dimension one should go, what should be your movement, who will be funding that, who will be giving the venture capital, so on and so forth. And so it requires a lot of interactions. There are some startups which might be at an advanced stage in the institute, so they require further nurturing from seniors like Roshan and others who are in the startup domain. So a lot of interactions, not only for a single day talk, but I think on a regular basis through our Institute Innovation, IIC. So if these deliberations continue, I think that will be a nice things for us. So instead of looking for a job, so we might have a large batch of students who will be basically job provider or solution provider, I should say, more in that respect. So with this, I again hand it over to Kulkarni if Kulkarni's network issues are resolved by this time. Yeah, Kulkarni.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. I apologize for my network issues. So, thank you, Director, sir, for your kind words as well as for your encouraging words. And now I request our Professor Fazal Talukdar, sir, President IIC, to share a few words with students.
A very good afternoon to everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Respected Director, NIT Silchar, Roshan Khan, one of our that is most prominent, very recent, that is the most prominent, that is the alumnus, Dr. Subroto Bera, my other colleagues, Dr. Naresh Babu, who is looking after the back end of this entire, that means the event. And especially that means my dear, that means the kids, that means who are present as part of this induction program. So today's event, yeah, we have aptly named the same to be that means My Story, which is an event that means being organized by Institutions Innovation Cell, Council that means the 3.0, which is an initiative of the Ministry of Education, Government of India. The purpose of that means IIC 3 is to inculcate a sense of that means innovation and the startup mentality in the mind of that means faculty and students in centrally funded that means higher educational institutions, as well as that means all other that means higher educational institutions. As part of this and to motivate that means the youngsters to give them that means an idea just at the entry, because you people are that means at the crossroad. You have just entered an engineering college from a school and you are having that means a lot of that means the hope, lot of dreams that means in your that means the mind. And so what is required is that our job is to ensure that that means that you get some kind of that means solid direction that means to realize your dream, to realize your that means the aspiration. So in last week, that means we had that means under My Story, the experience shared by an entrepreneur from that means IIT, that means Guwahati, along with that means two of it, that means co-entrepreneurs. So today, that means we thought of that means inviting that means our own that means Roshan Farhan, who is senior to you by that means 12 batch, because he took admission in 2008 and passed out in that 2000 that means 12. Okay, and thereafter that means he did it, that means a postgraduate diploma that means from Indian Institute of that means Management, that means Shillong. He worked that means for some corporates that means initially, and thereafter he thought of that means venturing into your startup and develop that means an ecosystem that means where he can not only be a job seeker, rather that means that he can become a that means your job creator. And most important thing is that Roshan is that means from one of the most prominent families of Assam. His grandfather was at the time that means a member of parliament, plus he was the Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court as well as the Justice of your Supreme Court, and his father is currently that means a very that means a well-known advocate in Guwahati High Court. So I have a that means a family connection with his family, and so I just that means give a small idea regarding that means how his family background is, and that means how simple that means he is in dealing with that means everybody. So without that means much ado, let me that means pass it over to so that means he can start the proceeding, can interact with our that means the students and try to that means clear the doubt and inquisitiveness that means which is in the mind of that means most of the students regarding that means how to establish a startup and how to that means become that means an entrepreneur. And at National Institute of Technology, that means the Silchar, we have a startup center when the first year students will be physically back in the campus. You can explore that means what are the facilities which are there in the startup center and how that means you can go and that means establish that means your own venture even when that means you are a student. Because currently we are having 9 startups which we are that means incubating within the campus, and so they are that means showing a very good result. So I welcome that Mr. Roshan that means in today's that means My Story event, and hope that means he will that means feel as comfortable as that means he was when he was a student, because he he did a lot of leadership roles, that means as a student at NIT Silchar, and hopefully that means he will be able to, that means, inculcate a sense of leadership in the mind of the current, that means, the youngsters. So over to, that means, Kulkarni for inviting Roshan, that means, that to start his deliberation. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. And thank you for your encouraging words as well as depicting the vision of the IIC, that is fostering entrepreneurship into the young minds. So with this vision to impart and nurture the entrepreneurship skills of the students right from the beginning, as informed by Director Sir, we have included this event into the induction program. So, as a part of second lecture, now I would like to request Mr. Roshan Farhan, who is a founder and CEO at Gobillion. It is one of his startup. So, I will just brief about him to the audience. He is the founder, CEO of Gobillion, and is the Economic Times Young Leader 2019. He also is a World Economic Forum Global Shaper, and his venture, that is Gobillion, socializes the e-commerce experiences for next 350 million online customers from tier 2 plus cities in India, making it a fun and engaging experience. Roshan has also co-founded a policy initiative named Brahmaputra Dialogue, which promotes dialogue on trade, business, and entrepreneurship in India and Southeast Asia, involving stakeholders like Dassault Systems, Invest India, Indo-Canadian Business Chamber, Canadian High Commission, big players into it. Roshan is a former management consultant at Deloitte, US, with diversified experience in advertising global clients across US, UK, EU, APAC, and India. On the strategic business agenda, his areas of expertise include go-to-market survey, growth strategy, finance strategy, and transformation business, digital strategy, product strategy, and performance improvement. He is a highly qualified person sailing from IIM Shillong. He completed his Master in Business Administration in 2016, and he is our student, our own students of BTech Batch 2012, passed out in 2012. Previously, he has been selected in the list of top 50 MBA graduates in India in 2016. During his undergraduate, now definitely he is going to share the experiences, but I would like to name a few. That during his undergraduate stint at NIT, he was involved with multiple leadership initiatives which encarved in one way this entrepreneurship in him. He had founded the first AICSCC chapter in Northeast India, that is the chapter in NIT Silchar as well, and was selected as a first ever Microsoft student partner for Northeast India. He felicitated the implementation of Microsoft's Partners in Learning program with the government of Assam to promote IT literacy in rural areas, wherein more than 6,000 school teachers were trained in IT tools. Roshan has also been passionate about contributing back to the community and promoting business and entrepreneurship in Northeast Indian region by collaborating with various initiatives including Young Leader Connect, Northeast Festivals, Global Shapers Guwahati Hub, which is an initiative of the World Economic Forum. Roshan has been featured for his stellar work in numerous international and national publications, magazines, including the Economic Times, Friends, that is Assam Foundation of North America. Next is the Silicon India, the Shillong Times, and many more. So with this such a diversified experience in the area of not only technical education but also in the management, and with such a ease to get back to the community or give back to the community where we sell from, We appreciate and thank Mr. Farhan for accepting our invitation, and I request him to start the lecture. Now the floor is yours. Over to you, please.
Yes, thank you so much, Professor Kulkarni. Am I audible, sir?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, it is loud and clear, please.
Right. So, firstly, many thanks to Director Sir, Professor F. A. Talukdar, Professor Kulkarni, and Professor Bera as well, and of course the faculty community of NIT Silchar for giving me this opportunity kind of to come back and speak to the students, primarily the first years of just entered NIT this year, and share my experiences not just from a perspective of a startup founder, but also how my initial experiences in NIT Silchar shaped me to be the individual that I am, and how the environment in NIT is very nurturing, and how it has shaped me to be, in the journey going forward. Of course, many thanks again to the first year batch, and congrats again for joining a very premier national institute like NIT Silchar. I think this will be the best 4 years of your professional and personal life going forward as well. Of course, I want this interaction to be very, very interactive. I kind of, look back. In fact, when I was preparing my presentation last night, it was a very nostalgic affair for me as well, kind of to go back down the memory lane. Literally, from 2008 when I started my first year in NIT Silchar, I was actually in Hostel 6, and I did. Of course, I have a set of slides. I'll present that, but before we kind of go there, I thought this has to be a very personal and very specific story of how NIT shaped me. So I was in Hostel 6. I was part of the BTech batch of 2008 to 2012 for computer science, and I had a lot of fun and a lot of great learning experiences in IT as well. I will quickly, of course, share my screen, and of course, we'll take it slow. Any questions? So what we'll do is, of course, this is almost like a 1 hour chat, 45 minutes to 1 hour. Rather than kind of keeping the Q&A for towards the end, what we can do is we can divide the speech into 3 parts, like 15 minutes each. So I'll probably take a break every 10 minutes or 12 minutes once we close a section. And if there's any questions from the audience, and I would, of course, love students to kind of come back and ask me questions, we'll take those questions, and then we can kind of progress as well. Or otherwise, if you feel you don't have questions in the middle, we can of course take questions towards the end as well. But again, please make the most of the opportunity. I'm really kind of glad and really honored to have this opportunity to kind of speak to the first years and other students in NIT right now, and always a pleasure. Let me quickly share my screen. I will be kind of broadcasting a presentation. Okay. Okay. Uh, I'm hoping this is visible on your
Yes,
screen.
yes, yes, yes.
And I've titled this, of course, I had to think a lot on how, I tell my story. Of course, I am by no means a success story. This is still a process, a journey I'm still taking, of course. And IT sector was very, very instrumental in helping me kind of get that initial, ecosystem to kind of grow. But so that's why I've kind of titled this as this is a story of becoming. So I just feel philosophically you never become, right? It's always a journey that you keep on going on, right from my day one at NIT to where I am right now, having started my own startup. It's always a continuous process. There's no end of the journey per se. Of course, you have a lot of experiences, you meet a lot of amazing people down the road, and of course you get recognized for whatever contribution you do at your workplace or your at society at large. But what I want students to really understand, especially in first year, that this is a continuous journey of learning and kind of giving back to society. Of course, I will talk a lot about how my college life was, how my management consulting life was post MBA, and how and why did I start up my venture called Go Billion? What were the decisions behind this? Who were the people behind this? And how we kind of came up to this. I will just give a quick snapshot of my professional profile. So, of course, as already mentioned by Professor Kulkarni, I did my MBA from IIM Shillong in 2016 and my BTech from NIT Silchar in 2012. So, right after my BTech, I joined Accenture in the technology consulting division for almost a year and a half. I was posted in the Pune office. I had a great time, I think great corporate experience at Accenture. Then post that, I joined IIM Shillong for my MBA. This is from 2014 to 2016. So of course, I'll go through each chapter of my life in detail as we kind of go through the slides. But post my MBA days, I joined management consulting in New Delhi. Initially with EY, Ernst and Young for 2 years, and then with Deloitte USI for almost 2 years before I quit end of last year and kind of ventured full time into my startup called Go Billion, where I have two other co-founders as well. Now, Go Billion, of course, is the startup that I'm kind of currently, working on with my two other co-founders and a small team based in Delhi and Guwahati. Beyond Go Billion, which is the pure play commercial B2C marketplace that we are leading, I had also last year co-founded a policy initiative called Brahmaputra Dialogue. Now, the way the Brahmaputra Dialogue happens, and this is kind of, I co-founded one of my very, very good friends as well. We focus a lot on promoting the entrepreneurship, business, and trade ecosystem in overall India and kind of building linkages between India, Southeast Asia, and other parts of the world. And there's a very specific focus in Northeast India as well. How do you promote trade, culture, business, and entrepreneurship in Northeast India? Beyond this, very small, kind of achievements that I also had. So I happened to be a World Economic Forum Global Shaper, part of the Guwahati hub, and I was fortunately selected as Economic Times Young Leader 2019 in last year. In fact, exactly a year back, which kind of recognizes the most emerging business leaders under the age of 31, 32 years of age, and in 2016, I also happened to be the top 50 MBA graduates in India. So this is probably just a quick high-level snapshot, but that's not a story we'll go into. I'll actually go into the story of who I was when I entered NIT, right? So this is a very old picture. I had to really dig into my photo albums for this one. This is exactly where you guys are right now in first year. This was during my own induction program in my hostel 6, and literally the first month of college. This is sometime in July 2008. And I remember I was a very shy kid back then, just kind of having cracked my IEEE exams and kind of coming to NIT. Of course, very different world, meeting a lot of new youngsters from different parts of the country. So I was very shy initially, of course, and I was asked to get my introduction done to the seniors and to other batchmates. And here I am, so wearing the white, red, and blue t-shirt. But this was the first time I was pushed in a corner which was beyond my comfort zone. And this is the first thing I want you guys to understand, especially in first year, is that NIT will be a very different experience from your schooling days, right? So once you pass class 12, of course, you are in the confines of a safe environment at home, or let's say a coaching center, wherever you might be. But when you come to a campus like NIT, it's a very different culture. And I had a lot of fun. Initially, of course, I faced a lot of problems also because I had to really open up, meet a lot of people, go to a lot of different experiences. But the most important thing is you need to embrace that change. You have to really, really go beyond the comfort zone, right? So let's say someone is very good in academics, but might not be very into sports. Or let's say someone is very good in sports, but might not be a lot into socializing, or let's say, meeting the, fellow batchmates. I think NIT will be a fresh palette of sorts for you, right? Imagine like a fresh canvas there where you can really paint yourself again. And, you can literally do whatever you want to do or whatever dream that you have from day one. So this is something I wanted to kind of show you, right? This is where I started. This is like day one or day zero of who I was back in NIT. So moving on, right? So NIT for me was very definitive, right? So we had, of course, the best set of faculty. I have, of course, as I mentioned, as part of the computer science and engineering department, and of course, a very different set of subjects. And I, of course, like computer science a lot. So, but beyond academics is very important, right? So, of course, your professors will be always telling you that academics is the first and foremost thing that you need to focus on, which is rightly so, right? So, if you don't have a very strong fundamental base on your core engineering skill sets, be it, might be from computer science, you might be from mechanical, you might be from civil, or you might be from electrical, for that matter. But that having a very strong fundamental base is very important, right? So you need to be absolutely clear on whatever subjects that you're learning, that you take the most out of it. And I think one thing you should do beyond is trying to understand practically that whatever you're learning in the classroom, how does it add up in the real world, right? So whatever you're learning in the classroom always, and mostly always has a real life application. So if you can correlate that, and if you can go beyond the classroom and have an impact in the real world, be it through an internship, be it through a research project, be it even through kind of pursuing a passion or a hobby, I think that will be significantly helpful for you guys. So during my stint at NIT, I was very proactive, right? So of course, I tried my best to balance academics and sports and all that. but I was very focused on doing something beyond. So I was kind of focused on community development or social work. I was very focused on leadership initiatives like ISEC. And in fact, I was also very passionate about technology evangelism as well, in promoting equitable access to technology to underserved parts of the community. So I'll give you an example. So ISEC was probably the defining time of my undergraduate life. So ISEC is the world's largest student leadership organization. So it's originally, from Europe, in Amsterdam. But there were multiple ISEC chapters in India. So when I was in second year, I remember kind of getting to know about ISEC online, and I tried to understand how do I become part of this global student network, which gives me exposure to a lot of opportunities, internships, and peers across the globe, right? So I think you will have chapters in ISEC right from IIT Delhi to a Yale University to a Harvard University globally, right? So I was very excited that how do I become part of this global student community. And I remember distinctly, I think this is somewhere around June 2010, which was my second year. And I remember kind of talking to someone in Delhi saying, hey, I found about ISEC online. Is there any way I can kind of volunteer and be a part of a network? And while the person was very friendly, he said that since, hey, Roshan, since you don't live in Delhi and you live in Silchar, we can't kind of give you that opportunity to kind of be a part of this network. And that really kind of was a slight setback for me. So I thought, me or my peers don't lag in any talent or any skill set, right? So just because of any geographical constraint, why should I not have access to this kind of opportunities or professional exposure? So that got me really thinking, and me and a couple of other very good friends got together, and we said, why don't we start the first chapter of ISEC in Northeast India in a very own NIT Silchar campus? And that's what luckily happened. I formed an initial team of very like-minded people, my very close friends of my batch and my seniors as well, and juniors, and we got together and we started the first ISEC chapter in NIT Silchar in Jan 2011, and that was probably the most defining period. I was actually thrust in a leadership role, back then, and really took me out of my comfort zone. I got the opportunity to lead a team of very, very amazing people, super smart, across batches, across departments, and across hostels. So I think at one point of time in 2011, we were almost 34 members across different teams doing multiple initiatives in and around campus. So this photos that you see is an initiative called Bala Kalakar. So what we did was all the village schools or the rural schools across the campus, right? So we went out and we said, hey, we're going to give you a taste of what our NIT, student life feels like. So we invited these kids over, very passionate, very excited kids. They were really excited. Hey, we are getting. So we kind of designed an entire day for them, right? So we gave them food and chocolates, and we organized a painting competition, and we hosted them in the NIT new gallery that you see right now, and very interactive. And we also gave them a lot of mentorship as well. How do we guide you in your future studies? How do you get better access to education and leadership opportunities as well? So if you see on the left and the top right, the Balkalaga event. On the bottom left is a still from a set of team members of ISEC that we have. And in fact, I'm very proud to say each and every one of them have done substantially well in their professional lives post ISEC. Right, a lot of them have gone on to do their MS and PhD in the US. A lot of them have done MBAs from IIM. And when I talk to them after, let's say, whenever I talk to them, I think ISEC holds a very special heart for all of them, right? So I think it's a very special initiative that we had. Beyond that, fortunately, in 2011, the same year, I was selected as Microsoft Student of Northeast India. So this is more of a like a student ambassador program that Microsoft has for tech campuses across the country. But unfortunately, at that point of time, there was not a single Microsoft student partner in Northeast India. So luckily, I got through a selection process, and I also thought, how do I make an impact again on the larger community and not just be confined to the campus? So of course we had some events within the campus. We involved the students in NIT who were very passionate about coding and learning about software. We got the best of Microsoft tools and resources coming on. But what I did along with the government relations team of Microsoft India is we helped set up the Partners in Learning program in Government of Assam. Now this Partners in Learning program of Microsoft is a flagship initiative where Microsoft tries to give back to the community. So what generally happens is they train school teachers, or let's say they train teachers and students from rural backgrounds with the latest IT skill sets, with the latest IT tools that Microsoft has. And luckily, we got this implemented and signed with the government of Assam in 2012, wherein the impact was very clear. Almost 6,000 teachers across Assam were trained in Microsoft enabled skill sets. But the reason I'm sharing this stories is I think right now, when you're in the first year, you'll start meeting a lot of new people, right? It's very important to find the right set of friends, and you will be surprised how this set of friends can stick around. And in the long term, you'll do a lot of amazing stuff together, right? So let's say if you want to do music and you want to form a band, that's amazing, right? So go and probably be the best band possible in the campus or in the state or nationally as well. If you're passionate about art, or if you're passionate about coding, or if you're passionate about developing IC circuits, or you're passionate about building or kind of working on designs focused on civil engineering or mechanical engineering, I think it can be anything, right? But firstly, you have to identify your passion and go beyond that, and which is something I took very seriously. I was probably kind of in that zone where I got opportunities in NIT to take that lead. But getting the right team is very important. And you'll see if you have the right team or if you have the right set of friends, a lot of things become very easy and you achieve a lot together. And that is what also happened for me. I was very lucky to have a team that was actually much, much smarter than I was. And with their guidance, with their support, I was kind of fortunate enough to achieve a lot of things in a very short span of time. Opera, as I mentioned here, just a quick snapshot. Opera is the Opera software, which is essentially the browser that we used to use back then. It's not as popular now, but I used to be the Opera campus ambassador for Northeast India as well. So we did some initiatives kind of promoting Opera and trying to promote some web technologies back then in campus. Cool. Again, while it's very important to kind of have a lot of fun, have a lot of focus on academics, research, this kind of social initiatives, it's also very important to cherish your friendships, right? Right now, the startup that I founded is with two of my very, very close friends from my childhood, right? One guy is an NIT batchmate, and one guy is, we have been best friends for the last 25 years. We started nursery together. So it's very important, guys, that you have a lot of laughs along the way as well. It's not just work and work and work. It's not just anything serious, but you need to have some smiles and some laughter and some good memories along the way as well. So that image on the left is from our Opera training session that we had for first and second years back in NIT. And the image on the right, I think, is from my farewell, or probably some computer science fresher that we had. So I used to be the general secretary for the Computer Science Society in my final year. And I'm assuming it's probably either from a fresher for the first years in 2011, or it's my farewell, either one there. But again, it's important to have those laughs, right? So, of course, please be focused on academics, but make sure that you're having a good time as well. Because I think this phase from 18 to 22 years of age, right? The first year to the fourth year of engineering, I think is the most golden phase of life anyone can ever have. Not just in terms of, the excitement or passion towards life that you have, but here, this is an age where you can really experiment, break things, fail at n number of things, but always come back. You can always come back and have another shot because age is on your side. Society is not too judgmental if you make a lot of mistakes in your undergrad. And that is where you should try to go out there, break some things and make a lot of mistakes, but still have a lot of fun on the way. I'm going to close the NIT chapter, then I'll probably take a pause for questions. Now, here I am. This is probably my 6th sem to 8th sem, right? First days of interviews and final days of my NIT, right? So typically, of course, when you enter NIT, one of the most important things that you take away beyond the education is a great first job, right? So, and people are passionate as they should be about getting the first, job on campus very well. And of course, the training and placement cell, and of course, our faculty has done a tremendous job in training us to be corporate ready from day one as we join corporate. So of course, this is a still from my first interview. I look way, way younger when I look back at those images. But this is probably some interviewer sitting back then in 2011 for my first ever job. And this is my very good friend Arnav as well. Arnav, of course, went to IIM like I did, and he was part of the ISEC network as well. But what I want to emphasize here, guys, is if I could go back in time now, I passed out in 2012, right? If I could really go back in time and change one thing, probably the way I thought about life back then, is not to chase the salary package or not even the company. Of course, the company or the brand is very important, but the role or the profile is even much more important, right? So if you ask me, hey, Roshan, is there anything different you'll do back in 2012 when you're passing out from NIT? I will say I will probably be very focused on which profile I'm going for. So even though I loved computer science graduating, but I knew that my true calling was management. I was not very sure कि I wanted to do entrepreneurship yet. It was too early for that decision, but I knew कि my true passion or calling kind of lies around management. I did not have it figured out. Obviously, this was something that I just kind of felt an attraction to. And it's okay to be confused, right? So you're still in first year, let's say in engineering, be it second or third year, it's absolutely okay to be confused, and you should be confused, right? You are young and you need to have, let's say, n number of options before you. You should try them each and then figure out कि ठीक है, this is the sense of things that I'm getting. Maybe I'm very good in research, or maybe I'm very good in coding, or maybe I'm very good in engineering design, or I'm very good in management. Maybe this kind of feels very close to my heart. That voice that you see or hear inside your heart or inside your mind is probably your true calling. So I was very clear that, of course, computer science is my forte. That's what I've been trained on. But over time, I'm much more comfortable in leading people or leading initiatives or just in general in the field of management. So I think, of course, it's very, very okay to have goof-ups. I also failed a lot. I was not the perfect student. I remember very distinctly, I was a 7 pointer. My final CGPA when I was passing out from NIT was 7.1 exactly. And of course, I did well in IIM. My IIM percentage was around 87%. But I think the underlying statement here is focus on academics, but don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail, and you can always come back again. Number one. Number two, please always focus on the profile. Don't go only for the salary package. It's important to have a very good competitive package. Of course, it's one of the aspirations of every engineering graduate. But what you will see in the long term, and that's what I have seen and all my friends have seen, is money in the long term loses value. Your profile or the kind of mentor you go and work for in the long term is the most beneficial. And I was very fortunate to have a set of mentors alongside me during my entire journey who guided me every step of the way. I'll come to that as well. On the right, you see an image which is very kind of close to my heart. This is a photo from my final year. So we were kind of exploring some tea gardens around Silchar. So here's the thing, right? When I leave NIT now, and it's been almost 8 years, 8.5 years since I've left, you don't stay in touch with the entire batch, right? Even if you stay in touch with 2 to 3 very, very close friends, I would say your stint in NIT has been worth it. So make the best of friends. You will meet a lot of amazing people. But when you leave NIT, if you can have 4 to 5 very close people that you can count as your own, who are always there during your ups and downs, your stay here has been worth it. And this is something I've also read somewhere as well. Engineering teaches you a lot of things, but one of the most important things it teaches you is the value of friendships and professional partnerships or personal partnerships. Friendships are very important. This is one of the best things you'll take away from NIT days, beyond, of course, the amazing education that you have on the campus. So it will be a bumpy ride, but of course, you'll have a lot of fun on the way as well. So this is my last slide covering the NIT life, right? My last end semester exam. This is when probably this was the last end sem of 8 sem, right? So we're like free, and people are very excited and they're like, oh, great, we're kind of finishing up BTech. And one sec, some buffering issue. Okay, that's back. And on the right is my convocation, right? This is when I received my degree from NIT, and I was very, very humble, very honored to kind of be a NIT graduate, that too from NIT Silchar, which is very close to my heart. But as I mentioned, right, cherish the friendships. They define a large part of who your success story will be in the years to come. So I'm going to take a quick pause here before I jump to corporate. Any questions? We can take questions for 2 minutes. If you don't have questions, I'll proceed in the next 2 minutes. Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Anything that kind of strikes you from NIT, anything that you think I failed at, or something that I found interesting, more than happy to kind of share. Okay. I'll wait 30 seconds more if there's any questions.
Any questions till now you can ask students.
Any thoughts on how your first year is coming out? Any thoughts on what kind of internship you should do?
Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, hi.
Yes,
Hi, Abhishek.
yes, sir. Sir, my name is Mr. Kumar, and sir. I'm from mechanical department. Sir, my question was that what is the best time to go for internships? Means, is it third year, second year, or can you just guide me?
So, okay, great question. So, are you in first year, Abhishek, or which year are you at?
Yes, sir. I'm in first year. Yes.
Great. So I think there are two parts, right? So typically, how an engineering curriculum, at least in my time, was structured is you start internships from your second end of second year onwards. So you do an internship after your fourth sem and a sixth sem, and that's how it's kind of structured. I'm not sure if there are any changes right now because it's been some time since I've been kind of acquainted with the engineering system. But if it was me, I would assume advise that you'd start taking exposure to through live projects or through internships or through any research projects as early as possible. So I think for the first semester you take time to adjust, but if you can get something towards the end of your second term, I think that's more than enough. And you can take anything, right? It doesn't have to be technical only. You can take a volunteering initiative, you can take a community development initiative, you can take an internship on maybe travel blogging, you can take an internship on coding, whatever, right? Whatever kind of you really fancy. But my best advice to you, if I was in first year, I would have taken an internship right after first year, and let's say the next summer, essentially, and take it from there. And don't be very straight jacketed कि मुझे बस technical internship ही करना है. Of course, that's your choice. But even if you take something very different, it's okay. And companies love that, and you'll see it's really adds to your personality as well.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So,
Hello.
yes, sir, I
Yeah.
had a question. So as we have our
Uh,
online
your
semester,
voice is a bit inaudible. Can you speak a bit louder?
sir, as we have online semester for this year, is it possible to catch up when we come to NIT Silchar? Will we be deprived of any opportunity if we are not on the campus?
Can you repeat the question again, please?
So as we are being taught online, and it is our online semester. And
Yeah.
is it possible to catch up with every exploration? Like, will we be deprived of exploration if we are doing it offline? Like you said, we can try getting intensive after first year. So is it possible if it? What are the ways we can try on getting our internship just after the first year? So like
Yeah, so absolutely. So I think, of course, the nature of work has changed now significantly. People are working remotely, but I don't think that has been a challenge. In fact, it's been an opportunity of sorts, right? So over the summer in my company, GoPillion, we took a lot of interns, including from NIT Silchar for the summer internship. So we took interns from different IIMs, IIT Bombay, IIT Guwahati. And I think once people get used to this nature of work, right, which people have already done now, I don't think it should be a challenge for you to get a remote working internship, right? So we call it life projects in corporate world, wherein you are still part of an academic curriculum, you're still studying on campus, but we have flexible life projects where you work with a company or a research institute or any agency or institute, and you are given a specific task to work on. And the best thing is because it's a live project, you're working on something that is actually live, right? So whatever you're working on gets implemented in the real world. So if you think you have enough bandwidth next semester, you should actually apply for some flexible life projects in corporate startups or any research institute of your preference. But remote internships are very flexible, and companies are totally okay taking interns right now, and I think should be good exposure as well. So I don't think just because you're not in the campus that takes away any opportunity from you. In fact, it has opened up a lot more opportunities as well, because you don't have to be in any specific place. You just need a laptop and an internet connection, and you can be functional at any point in time.
Okay, so we'll continue with the slides now.
Sure, sir. Okay, great. So in the interest of time, I'll move a bit faster.
sir,
So this is
can
my
we
first exposure to corporate, right? So 2012, I graduated. I joined Accenture for my first stint, and there's only one big advice I received. This was from a partner in Deloitte, Australia, and they were kind of one of my collaborators. And he said, Roshan, always under promise and over deliver. So let's say if you have to do something at work, uh, and let's say your boss or your colleague says, do this 5 things, and if you feel that, hey, in this time span it's not possible to do this 5 things, you go and be very realistic and say, in this time span or today I'll just do this 3 things and I'll deliver this. Tomorrow I'll just take those 2 things. But this importance of communication is something we don't learn in undergraduate. And it's something I tell my my employees or my interns as well, that if I ask you to do 5 things, be very clear that whether you're able to do this, and I'm okay with you coming and telling me that, Roshan, I can't do those 5 things at once given the time bandwidth. I'll do those 3 things very well and I'll deliver to you today. The next 2 things I'll take tomorrow. So now, in the start of your undergraduate life, be very clear of your communication and what you promise. Don't promise 10 things that you can't deliver. Say, I'll do those 2 or 3 things very well and over deliver, make them happy, make your professors happy, make your employers happy, or make your seniors happy as well. And as I mentioned, the first job is very crucial, right? So the profile is also very important. Don't just chase a paycheck, chase your passion, what you really want to do. It's okay to kind of get to a first job, then figure out that, hey, this is not my calling, and change streams like I did. So I entered tech consulting Accenture, and I loved it, great experience. But I always knew that, entrepreneurship or let's say management consulting was probably what I really wanted to do. That's when I went from MBA, kind of moved out from there. But Accenture was amazing, right? Great friendships, great, I think, colleagues, and the first taste of corporate life was very, very helpful for me as well. Then, of course, just a quick snapshot of my IIM journey. This is my day one at IIM, right? Of course, I was also preparing for CAT while I was kind of working on the side as well at Accenture. But this is my day one at IIM Shillong, and this is this is a memory that I really cherish on a personal level. And what I found was IIM was an amazing experience, right? I think probably life changing for me as well. A different ecosystem, very, very smart kids across the country in a single campus. And I felt, of course, at multiple points of time that I was probably not as smart with a lot of my peers. But the kind of peer learning, the kind of cross learning that I had from my peers and faculty and industry leaders that used to come to campus and teach us was amazing. And this is when I realized, if I look back in time, that really set me on a journey for entrepreneurship, right? So I was again very active. I was part of the student council, which is part of the similar to a gymkhana. We have elections. But the college experience defines you, be it NIT, be it IIM, or be it any other institute you study at. It defines you in more ways than one. And you not even realize it as it is happening. When you look back retrospectively is when you realize that the campus or NIT in your case has changed you for the better forever, right? And what I always tell my juniors or my friends is academics is very important, which I've also mentioned, but do something beyond. If you like traveling, go and travel, start a company or pursue a research, project. But essentially, one second, just open this again. But do something different, right? Do go beyond and kind of chase your dreams. Okay. So very two amazing years in IIM. Of course, we learned a lot about management. We did a lot of initiatives. So we have this event called Golf Club in IIM Shillong. So I was part of the organizing team as the student body member. But it made me really go again on a very different comfort zone, right? And the most important thing here, guys, is you have to be outside a comfort zone. If you are good in something, let's say if someone is great in maths, or let's say someone is great in coding, and if you just get stuck to the domain that this is the best and I'll not try anything else, that's probably where you're losing out. You have to go out there. I had a lot of friends who were great in academics, but were probably not extroverts, or probably were not very good in, let's say networking or social communication. And this is what IIM teaches you, right? So you have to go beyond, kind of mitigate your weaknesses and try out n number of things. And I had a lot of fun at IIM as well. What I also want to tell, and this is perhaps the picture that you see on the left is with my parents and me graduating. This is March 2016. A lot of people would dream of, and I had a very strong dream that, hey, I always dreamt about this day of getting an IIM degree from campus. Fortunately, that year in 2016, I was selected as one of India's top 50 MBA graduates. But what I want you to focus is, of course, an MBA life sounds glamorous, and it is really, really fun and enriching from a professional and learning perspective. But what is more important is when you graduate and when you kind of enter the real world. When I went to Delhi post MBA, I saw, and I was in EY, and EY was filled with people from different IIMs, right? IIMs, IITs, and ISB, and I was just another, drop in the ocean for that. Of course, my level playing field had changed. I probably kind of changed my playing arena or changed my team per se. But now you are in the kind of talent pool of people who are very smart, right? Different IIMs, IITs, foreign universities like Harvard or let's say Wharton. What defines you is what kind of, how do you react to uncertainty? And this is one of the fundamental things that you need to learn in undergraduate. As you grow, you'll see a lot of uncertainty, be it your personal life, be it your family life, and be it your professional life. And it's not easy. I was very confused, and I was very lucky to have a lot of mentors and friends and kind of seniors who helped me out in multiple points in my life, and I'll come to that in a bit. But please take that risk. Life is short, right? So if you're confused, go and do it and figure out, okay, this doesn't work for me, but come back again, do something else. But don't stop. Don't kind of take a step back. And that's what I did. Probably, if you ask me, I'm probably not the smartest guy you'll meet, right? Nor am I the most best or the in let's say management. But what I fundamentally felt was I would take the risk, figure out whether it works or not, and come back and kind of see how it works. But I always took that risk, and thankfully it has kind of worked out well in a limited capacity as well. Okay, so I'll probably talk a bit about consulting, and this is something that a lot of people in your first year might not know what management consulting is. You would know what technology development is. So management consulting in a very simple term is we advise companies on the business strategy. So let's say if a company wants to launch a new service, or if they want to expand to a new country, or if they want to kind of launch a new product, or if a company is facing issues in the sales. For example, now because of COVID, a lot of companies' sales are down, or let's say they're spending a lot of money on resources. So we advise CXOs, CEOs, CTOs, chief business officers on their business agendas, on their business strategy. How should the company evolve? Should you shut down this division? Should you invest more money in this company? Should you focus on a new technology development? Tomorrow, let's say e-commerce company wants to launch in, let's say, expand from India to Indonesia. How should you go about it? Or tomorrow, it's an American company wants to acquire a company in India. How should you go about it? The entire management decision making is what we support, right? So let's say any company like a Flipkart or Amazon wants to invest more money in India, we'll come in, advise them that this is how you should go about it. So it's great work, right? So you get to work with the best of India's corporate leaders. You mostly work on advising CEOs and CTOs. And the best part is at a very young age, just after MBA, you get exposed to the corporate leadership, right? And these are people with around 20, 30 years of experience. And here I was, 20 something, early 20s, just out of IIM, had no idea how business works. And I was thrust in places where I had no idea how it works, right? So, but amazing experience. So on the left is day one, right? Day one of management consulting at EY Gurgaon. And I remember this date very clearly. It was 1st May 2016. And on the right is when I moved away from consulting. So I got this award known as Economic Times Young Leader. So I kind of was part of consulting for almost 3.5 years before I moved away and kind of started my own venture. But I have this feeling that it's still day one, right? I'm still a learner. I'm not the best management consulting by any means, but the learning that I had, and I had the best set of bosses. I mean, of course, I had my ups and downs in consulting as well. But now when I look back, it's always important to have a day one mindset. The kind of freshness and open perspective, guys, that you come to NIT on the first semester, I would absolutely advise you to keep that openness towards life, towards new professional perspectives, even when you pass away from NIT, right? So let's say if I ask you this question after 4 years when you're graduating from NIT, do you have the same amount of passion or openness towards professional perspectives or opportunities or even academics? If you can say yes to that, I think you would be in a substantially better part of life as well. So have that mindset of being day one. And this is what Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, also says, right? He says it's always, day zero at Amazon, right? So it's always day zero. We might be the biggest company in the world in terms of e-commerce, but we always view things from a day zero perspective. We've just started and there are miles to go before we close, right? And it's very fundamental, right? Yeah, you call it the day zero, you call it the day one. You always need to evolve. That's why I say this is a story of becoming. You cannot become someone. Tomorrow, if you reach a certain level, there's always so much more to achieve or learn or experience, right? I still feel I was always at day one in consulting. I got my fair share of experiences. I got some awards as well along the way for performance at EY and Deloitte. But I had a lot of fun on the way. So this is one of the probably the most important slides I want the first years to take away, and if not just the first years, if there are students from other batches from NIT to take away. I think I can't, overemphasize the importance of having mentors, right? I think fundamentally, and probably the one of the main reasons I am where I am today, and of course, it's not like I've achieved anything, whatever incrementally that I've achieved, is because of mentors. I had a lot of mentors very close to me personally or professionally who shaped me in more ways than one, right? And I'll go through it quickly on a personal story. If you look at the point one, right? So I was at Accenture and I was very confused. Ki, should I stay at Accenture or should I, try for a company like a Facebook or a Google or a Microsoft, right? And focus on, tech development. And I had this one mentor, and he was also an NIT Silchar alum from the 1992 batch, exactly 20 years senior to me. And he was very clear, Roshan, that what exactly do you want? Do you want an IIM degree, or do you want to be the best coder possible, or do you just want a larger paycheck? And that got me thinking. And I realized, and this is one fine January morning in 2013, and we were in Pune. There's this place known as Magarpatta City, which is like one of the corporate hubs of Pune. and and we were having lunch, and I think just after lunch we were just sitting on the benches just near the office, and he was guiding me that, Roshan, be very clear what you want. Do you want a Microsoft or a Facebook job, which is amazing, right? The best companies possible to work for, but is that the role you want to be for the next 20 years, or do you want to go to an IIM and get the MBA? And that kind of really solved all my problems, right? I had a lot of confusion ki karna kya mujhe, should I kind of get a better job, higher salary, then do an MBA? But he was saying just go for plan A. There's no plan B, because if you have a plan B, subconsciously you've already thought कि मेरा plan A चलेगा ही नहीं, right? My plan will never work, and that's why it's so important to exactly know what's important. And at first year it's fine, right? You don't have to know what you want. That's why I'm saying first, second year, and in fact to a large extent towards third year, it's okay to be confused. It's okay to kind of try n number of things, and by the end of fourth year or sometime in fourth year, if you have a sense of what you want, that is more than enough, right? And just go for what you want back in fourth year. But first, second years, please kind of don't get bogged down. I think I see some questions coming. I'll take that towards the end of the presentation in the interest of time. But it's very important. And this 3 stars per se were the 3 defining moments in my life. So this mentor helped me get into IIM is how I would look at life, right? So that conversation on a January 2013 morning helped me really understand what I want in life. And I could not get that clarity myself. I had to get someone else's perspective, someone who's been there, done that. He was a VP in a large corporation. He came and told me, focus on plan A, forget everything else. And that set me on the path to IIM. Now, the second story is about when I passed out IIM and I've joined consulting. And I had this amazing boss at EY. He was initially a bit aggressive, of course, he was a go-getter. He's from Bombay, but we had a very good personal and professional rapport. Initially, this was a very high intensive project. We were working for a large client in Gurgaon, and I was not very comfortable because it was a very quick. So consulting by definition is very, very hard paced, right? Very fast paced, very aggressive. You do a lot of things in a very short span of time compared to any corporate job, right? तो उसमें क्या होता I kind of got into situations which I didn't have any idea about how to talk to people, right from a CEO to kind of let's say someone as young as an analyst. But he said, Roshan, I'm going to throw you to the ocean and you'll have to learn to swim on your own. That's the only way you'll ever learn. The moral of the story is, and this is something I always tell him when I call him right now, right? He's still a very good friend, he's still a very good mentor. Is, sir, you told me this advice, around 2017, and I didn't really understand what it meant. And I was having my own set of issues. I was put in a professional situation which was very challenging, and I kind of there were times when I hated, that time of the job. But now when I look back at it, if my boss, I would rather say the mentor, had not made that happen, if he had not pushed me and made me learn to swim myself in that situation, I would probably not be sitting with my own startup right now. And I fundamentally kind of believe that experience really shaped me as a corporate leader and helped me kind of start my kind of startup now as well. Lastly, this is November 2019, last year, exactly a year back. I was confused. Should I leave Deloitte or should I not leave Deloitte or start my company, right? I always knew that I have to be an entrepreneur, but I was not very sure, is this the right time or should I get some more experience? A lot of people will say, Roshan, work for 5 years, 6 years, then take the jump. Or Roshan, save more money and take the jump. There are n number of reasons before you start a startup. I had this one mentor, and he's also an alum from NIT Silchar as well, very successful on his own startup. And I remember sitting in his cabin in Bangalore, in his office, and he's a super successful company as well. He said, Roshan, take the risk, jump now, don't think twice. You'll never regret it. If you get into any trouble, I'm there. I'll take care of you. Take the jump. And that is when I could quit my job, by the way. So these are the three turning points in my life, how my life shaped up, right? And that's when I decided. And after a week, I kind of put down my papers and moved away from Deloitte. Deloitte is phenomenal. I love the company, and it's a great place to work. If you're ever kind of thinking of joining corporate, I would highly recommend Deloitte. But I took that risk, and here I am. But that's what I'm saying. So mentors probably had a large part to play on my story as well, and that is something that I want you guys to kind of really focus on. Get those mentors. It can be a college senior, it can be someone, let's say if you're in first year, it can be someone who's in fourth year, it can be someone who just passed out and working in corporate, or working in a research institute, or working in, let's say, an engineering company, or maybe has his own startup, or anyone, right? It can be your own cousin or some other friend who has, been there, done that. But that perspective really helps. That perspective, that advice really helps, makes you avoid those mistakes which they have done and you can't do. Okay, I think we are a bit short of time. I'll quickly move beyond this, because I'll take questions as well. Why did I start up? Three very clear reasons. I was very passionate from my NIT days. I have to start something new, which was evident from ISEC, Microsoft, and other initiatives. We wanted to kind of solve problems that we face. And the Go Billion came into existence because me and my very good friend and also the co-founder now were facing a problem in our personal lives or in our daily lives, and we thought, why can't we solve this problem for everyone else, and why can't we just kind of scale this up? And lastly, and very personal reason, I never feel like settling, right? In the sense, professionally settling, that this is not like the summit I've reached. That's why I say it's a journey of becoming. Okay. And these are very intrinsic reasons why I kind of started up as well. I have two quick, one second. Okay. Two quick slides, what it takes to be an entrepreneur. I will not kind of deep dive on them in the interest of time. If you have questions, I will take them during the Q&A. Quick question, Professor Kulkarni, how much time do you have? I realize we are 5:11. I have 3 slides more.
Yeah, try to finish by 5:15. So.
Okay, cool. I will make it fast. Great. So I think what it takes to be an entrepreneur, right? I think everyone can be an entrepreneur, but you need two or three large skill sets. One, of course, you need to take risk, and you need to decide during times of uncertainty. You'll see, especially now, there are so many times during the day, there is so much uncertainty, but you need to take decisions and believe those decisions work out. So you need, number one. Number two, you need that risk-taking ability. That's probably the most important thing. Leaving a steady job like I did for Deloitte and EY and jumping full on to a startup where no income is promised during the initial days, that was a huge risk I took, right? A lot of my peers are still working very good jobs post I am getting a lot of money. But I said, hey, I'm going to take a step back, maybe not get the money that they are getting for a year, but let me do my own thing as well. Also, very important thing on the second point, challenges and entry barriers, is getting the right founding team. And that's what I'm saying. If you ever if you ever start a startup, you'll see your closest friends most probably will be the the startup founders that you kind of do. And that's what happened with me as well. I got two of my very close friends together where we have a great working relationship and got this started. So people ask me, Roshan, do you need the idea first or do you need the team first? I used to think the idea is first and the team comes next. Now I know fundamentally the founding team is first. It's more important. Get the right set of people. Idea can come later, or you might already have an idea, but the right team can make that idea happen. Otherwise, an idea in itself is nothing, right? You need to implement it. So get the team first. Get your close friends together first. Then work on an idea that you might have, or search for an idea where you think it kind of needs solving. Lastly, in the interest of time, uh, family pressure or social pressure can also be a detriment to startups. I also face a lot of family pressure, leaving the job or leaving a very predefined career trajectory in Deloitte or consulting. So I had to really overcome and convince my parents and family that, hey, this is what I really want to do and really kind of want to start up. When do I start up? The last point, earlier the better. I think engineering days, third years, fourth years, or let's say anything from first year to fourth year, any time is the best time to start up. Of course, focus on your studies as well, but whatever extra time that you have, it's the best time to start up. You have no responsibilities, real world responsibilities per se. You don't have any financial liabilities mostly. I understand some people might have financial liabilities, but this is the most least risk zone. And I really wish I had started something in NIT back in my fourth or third year. Failing is acceptable. Please fail, but one of my favorite, I think, mentors says, fail fast and fail forward, right? You fail down or fall down, but fall forward, right? This is spoken by someone who's kind of in the as an international leader, but start early. There's no right time to start. I feel earlier the better, especially if you can get something going. It can fail, that's okay, but do something in NIT. You have an amazing e-cell, an entrepreneurship cell. You have an incubation center right in your campus. Directors, the entire faculty has been very supportive of promoting entrepreneurship. So if you have an idea, if you're the right set of people, please go ahead and start something. And I'm sure the NIT community will be helpful in getting this happen. I am going to skip the slides. This is more about how do I get the right idea. This is mostly, it's always advised by a lot of investors or a lot of founders that look for problems that you face in your day-to-day lives. Those are the best problems. Otherwise, you can always research and see which are the larger problems that the world is grappling with, or you might see what other problems are happening in other emerging economies like India. So let's say you look at Indonesia or Vietnam and see what kind of problems those people are facing. And there's a large chance because macroeconomically our economies are similar. A similar problem might exists in India as well. How do you raise fund? Of course, you can join an incubator or an accelerator. I mentioned some names here. You can apply for government schemes, or you can directly apply for angel investors or VCs as well. How do you get the mentorship? Connect to alumni. You can connect to alumni like me, or there are other startup founders. I'm happy to connect you to who can guide you on the initial part for starting up. Mentorship is very, very important. And lastly, of course, how do you kind of start up other resources? You can get a ton of resources online. Startup India is a great portal for getting the initial information on starting a company. And you can apply to startup schools. There's a Y Combinator startup school that is very helpful. Anyone can apply at any point of time. Not any point of time, they have a decided platform, but you'll get a lot of great videos and documentation of starting a company and what kind of legal work goes inside there. Quick introduction. I'll just take 2 minutes here. We're almost beyond time. Quick introduction. What we do as a company. We are GoBillion. We are a B2C social commerce platform, which means we are a business to customer marketplace, similar to a Flipkart or Amazon. But where we fundamentally differ is we kind of try to socialize the buying experience for customers. So if you buy anything on a Flipkart or an Amazon or any e-commerce platform, it's a very individual buying journey. You add items to your cart, and kind of you check out and get whatever discount you have. But there's no social angle, right? You can't recommend products to your friends. You can't share the same feeling that you get while using a Facebook or an Instagram, where you can share stuff, where you can like stuff, where you can comment, and there's a lot of social engagement happening. We enable that to happen, right? We are trying to socialize, make it very social, make it very engaging experience for people, especially in small towns, tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4 cities in India. And that's the next frontier of e-commerce that we're serving. A quick high level understanding of the industry, what is happening in retail right now. The industry is going through a very massive inflection point, massive disruption. Of course, given the pandemic, given COVID, the disruption has been even more. Now what you see is online and offline retail are merging together, and you'll see stores are coming retail stores are coming online stores are coming to a physical footprint. And this is what you'll see going forward. It will be a very omni-channel, it will be a very comprehensive experience of e-commerce going forward. What is the biggest change that has happened over the last 3 to 4 years, ever since Jio came on board in India, which we call as a Jio effect? A large set of people came online, almost 350, 400 million customers came online, and they started consuming content. Or they would use a TikTok or a share chat or a Facebook. But now they've realized, hey, we can actually buy stuff online through e-commerce, right, at a much better price. But their aspirations, their needs are very different. They come from small towns where they typically buy from physical retail stores. Now, how do you get this set of people online and make a very fun experience for them and give them the best prices? And this is where we come in. I'm going to skip this slide. There's actually people we talk to. But what we do is we socialize the experience by a feature called Team Buy, wherein groups of friends and family can buy together, get massive discounts. And that is why we're trying to really revolutionize the way e-commerce works, make it social, fun, and engaging as well. Not just for customers, but also for suppliers and sellers on the platform, because we are a marketplace. I'm going to close the presentation by only one last quote that I really, really kind of get motivated by is don't settle. This is by one of my role models, or someone I really look up to, Steve Jobs. But don't settle, especially don't settle in the first 4 years, well, the 4 years of engineering, right? Engineering is a great place to be at. NIT Silchar is an amazing, amazing campus. You have the best set of faculty that you can get at any point of time in any engineering campus. And don't settle, try and many things, and kind of until you get what you really want to get. You can connect to me at contact@gobillion.co. Always you can connect to me on LinkedIn and give me a ping as well. So this is the close of my presentation. I'm going to keep the slide here. Any questions, more than happy to take. I think we can have a 10 minutes Q&A and we'll close the call at 5:30 because I understand there's another session after this.
Sir,
Kulkarni sir. Yeah, students, any questions
Yes,
quickly?
yes.
I think we
Yeah,
have
I could.
chat. Yeah, when we open up.
I suppose, Roshan, because I lost connection a couple of times in between. So you could read out the questions from the chat. Or Naresh Babu sir, can you please help him with that?
Yes, sir.
I'll take over. Don't worry. Yeah. Hi, Roshan. How are you? This is Arif, sir.
All well, sir. Professor Arif, all well. Pleasure to meet you
Yeah.
online.
Good to see you again. Fajal, sir, with your kind permission, can I take over?
Yeah, Arif, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Sorry for being late. Yeah, we have Ayush Gupta is always very inquisitive, and Ayush Gupta has this question. He is fighting with this question actually. So he would like to know from you how to bring courage into you that I could try once.
I think good question, but there's no direct answer for this. I think it's just about understanding yourself well, right? That's what I mentioned that I mean sometimes when I'm in college, we have a fear of we if we do something and if we take this job opportunity, what if it doesn't work? If we start a startup, what if it fails? That fear is, I think, what stops us. This fear can be personal, it can be society or parental induced, or it can be, induced by other factors as well. I think if you know what you want, or if you believe in your heart what you really feel like doing, you should go ahead and do it. Of course, you should listen to parents and faculty, but that those can be just checks and balances, right? I would urge you to kind of go ahead, and this is the least risk time, right? So my only take is even if you make a mistake now, no one will judge you ever, nor will your career trajectory be impacted in any way. In fact, any corporate, if you tell them I had a failed startup in campus, is 10 times more valuable than probably any job or internship that you kind of do in campus.
Great. We have another question from Jay Mehta. So question is how to handle a startup ideas which feel like being kind of unique or not made before.
Can you repeat again, sir?
Yeah, I mean how to handle a startup idea which is unique.
Right. So typically what you do is, and what every startup would generally do is, let's say you have a very unique idea. We do a validation or we do a build a minimum viable product, right? So let's say every idea will have a customer. It can be a B2B customer, a business can be a customer, or a normal customer like us can be a customer, right? Or B2C business. So you start talking to some customers that this is an idea that I'm working on. Do you think you have a need for this? Or do you think this is a solution? So let's say let's say it's a B2C problem, right? Let's say your end customer is a normal person like us, not a business. So let's say you get 10 of your friends together in your hostel or in your batch and say, hey, this is a problem I'm trying to solve. Do you think this problem exists for you? Or or let's say you talk to some other set of people in a different place, like maybe a working professional or maybe someone who's an adult, and talk and get the feedback. And this is the initial customer survey that we do, right? After we do the customer survey and get the feedback is when we start working on the product. Then we launched up an initial very basic product to the market, which is what we did at GoBilling as well, and which is what every company from an Uber to a Facebook did. Then a lot of user feedback comes in that this is not working, this is what you want, and this is what you don't want. Then you launch. So the idea can be unique. First step is, even if it's a very unique idea, you have to share the idea with some people. Don't be afraid that they will steal it. Of course, a lot of people feel ki if my idea is very unique, it might get stolen. It's not easy to steal. Tomorrow you might tell me a very unique idea. For me to have the capacity and the time and resources to replicate the idea is not possible. So go and share with friends, get some feedback, launch your product, and again kind of reiterate from there.
Great. We have a question from Iman. How to avoid during my 4-year journey if I strictly want to become an entrepreneur? Is it okay to go for a relationship? I mean, yeah, Iman, are you there? You can ask your question. Iman? Yeah, we couldn't get your question. Can you answer? Can you ask it from yourself?
Okay, sir. Sir, actually, I want to become an entrepreneur. So, sir, during my 4 year journey, what to avoid actually?
What to
Is it
avoid?
okay to, yeah, sir, is it okay to go for a relationship, like, or something?
That's a personal life, right? So I think in your personal life, that's an entirely independent choice. You can obviously and of course have a partner in your personal or individual life as well. That should not have any bearings on your professional life. But I think what you should ensure is that there's a good balance between your personal life and professional life as well. And of course, all entrepreneurs have life partners. It's not like to be an entrepreneur, you need to be away from everything. All you need is a very disciplined life. And if your friend or partner understands that, I think that should not be a problem.
Yeah, great. Aditya Bhagwan Shirsagar is having a question. Sir, you have any other plan B if you are failed in the first?
Should we have a plan B first?
If we fail in the first.
So I think I would approach this in two ways, right? If you're working on a plan A, don't just quit halfway, right? So let's say what a lot of first-time founders, including me, had key. I have two, three ideas. Maybe I'm working on one idea, but I have another backup idea at the back. Agar the first one doesn't work, I'll work on the second one. I think we should not confuse it. Let's first take a step back and figure out which idea am I most passionate about or which idea has the most potential. That's why it's important to talk to customers first before you deep dive or if you invest a lot of resources and money in one idea. So make the decision before. This is the idea I want to stick to and stick to it for a bit. It's not like I work on one idea for 3 months and it's not working, I leave it and go to the next idea. So set a timeline. This is an idea where I see potential. Let me work on it for 8 to 10 months. And by 8 to 10 months, you figure out whether the idea is going somewhere or not. Then you can go to a plan B, but don't get kind of lost in initially between a plan B and a plan A.
Farhan, 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 can I just compliment?
Yes, sir.
The idea behind that means what he told is that, say, if you get a first class, you get a first class. But if you don't get the first class, then you are eligible for second class. He doesn't want that kind of thing. If you don't get a first class, you leave the idea, try out that means something, and leaving that idea should be that means as fast as possible so that you can try out that means something. There should not it to be that context that if I could not pass in division 1, then I will pass in division 2. This is what is the concept of plan B here.
Right, sir.
Yeah, Rashun,
Absolutely.
am I correct?
I agree, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree.
Good. Yeah, we have one or two more questions on the lineup. One, Mr. Anurag Devnath is asking how to deal with lack of capital in the beginning. That's a very relevant question where somebody when wants to be an entrepreneur. How to deal with lack of capital in the beginning?
I agree. I think that's a very important and very good question as well. I think this is a problem I also faced, right? So I think when I was passing out from IIM, I directly wanted to do a startup right away, and I did not have the capital to invest, and that's why I thought let's kind of work for a couple of years, get the experience and the money. I think there is no direct answer for this. Capital always is a problem.
Okay. Yeah.
If you have the right idea, you will get the investors, and you don't need a lot of money also to do the initial MVP, right? The minimum viable product. If you want to launch your company, you can just fix a very small amount of money, and just kind of test it out. If the test is successful, you will see a lot of support from the government. There are a lot of schemes which will be it from Startup India, be it from different state governments. A lot of governments are kind of supporting. You have incubators in different, NITs, IITs who are kind of giving that initial capital to kind of test the idea. I know Assam government has some initial money kind of invested on some early stage startups as well. But my only point is if your idea is good, maybe you'll need that very, very small amount of money, maybe say let's say 10, 20,000 rupees just to test the idea. Beyond that, for a larger sum, you'll always get the money. There are different sources. First point of contact should be the college itself, if the college has any resources. If not, the state government or the central government, there are multiple schemes. Beyond that, you can reach out to your seniors or any angel investors that you might know or your mentors might know. I think that's how I went about it. But of course, capital is a long-term problem, especially now with COVID. I think capital excess has been a problem, but that will ease out next year, is what we assume. But if I was an NIT, I will reach out to the campus first and see if they can fund us. If not, then the state or the central government. There are multiple schemes. I don't think capital for the right idea will ever be a problem.
Great. Roshan, Abhishek Raj is asking like how to convince parents for startups, because you know that most of the parents in India is having a mindset towards government
I
jobs.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's a
Take from
problem I
Raj.
face a lot.
Yeah.
Arif sir, please conclude, sir. There is one more meeting at scheduled 5:30.
Yeah, sure. This is the last question we have to attend. Yeah.
Yeah, I think very good question. I think on the person side, but I think this is a problem I faced a lot also during my journey. I think that's why I said, right, if you can take this risk as early as possible. Of course, I understand there are social and financial obligations that students have, that you have to earn some money, get your daily income. But it's a bit of a ask, right? I understand where parents come from. They want a stable job for the kids, but it's just about how sure you're about yourself and how you can convince your parents. And of course, parents want what is best for their kids, and if you can convince them, which I did in my case, I think they agree. But of course, you need to be sure of your idea as well. So that's why it's best that you take all these risks while you are still a student at campus. Figure out if this idea is going to work while you're still a student. Then you go back and tell your parents, hey, this idea is already working. I've already got some funding. Let me focus on this idea right away. I think that's a much safer approach. Start within the campus.
Great.
Okay.
What do you, Dr. Kulkarni? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Arif sir, for helping me out. And now there are a lot many questions, and we are happy to take, but we are running short of time because we have some another meeting. So I would like to thank you, Roshan, for such a great session. Right. So we thank you for sharing your experiences of your nostalgia as well as the learnings from NIT Silchar. And need not to mention, or remarkably, you outlined the importance of studies and your involvements in co-curricular activities of academics. We thank you for guiding our students to pave their way from the institute to market, classroom to corporate office, and from students to entrepreneur. It was a really pleasure to have you amongst us, and we assure you that our students and the IIC will be looking forward to host you again in the NIT campus once this pandemic situation is over. So I thank you again for accepting our invitation and being here. Now, with due permission of Director Sir, I would be declaring this session to be closed.
Thank you, sir.
So, Fazal sir, shall we close the session?
Yeah, you can close, and if required, that means I will invite Roshan, that means physically in our campus, where he will be able to that means answer most of the queries that means which are raised. So since we are out of time, that means personally I would have loved to that means continue the event, but since there is another event where all the kids are supposed to that means join, so we call it a that means the day. Thank you, Roshan, and hopefully that we will invite you in a short while so that you can have a physical interaction with the first year boys and girls.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the honor.
Thank you.
Bye, sir.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, sir. Bye.